everybody, it's Emily at Arg Schooling, and it's time to talk about what I'll be reading in December. So I decided to give myself December to kind of play catch up. So instead of picking one of my TBR cards, which I've been doing all year, I looked over the cards that I already did this year and went through them and chose some books that I wished I'd gotten to, as well as some other things. I have a lot happening this month, a lot of projects, a lot of just reading happening. I originally set my Goodreads goal to 100, and I hit that months ago. And so now I'm like, well, I want to hit 150 now. So I have to read 15 more books this year in order to hit 150. Will I do that? I don't know, but I'm gonna try. Before I get into what I'll be reading, I wanted to do kind of like a little wrap up of all of the TBR jar challenges I picked out this year. And these are in absolutely, I have no idea what order I did them in because they're all mixed up now because I was just sorting through them. But these are the ones that I've done so far. So I read books set in Asia. I completed the Build Your Library Reading Challenge. I read thrillers. I read some Stephen King. I read some high-stakes heists. I read some popular historical fiction. I read some Jewish books. I read some books about books. And I read books by authors where I had read one title and really liked it, but hadn't read anything else yet. So those are the 11 TBR cards that I drew in 2023. I'm going to do this again next year. I'm going to probably put these cards back in because there's still a lot of titles on here that I didn't get to yet. So that's going to be something I continue into 2024, and I'm really excited about it. So I still have like tons of prompts that I didn't get to yet. So now let's talk about what I will be reading in December. So my friend is hosting a read-along on Storygraph for Dead of Winter by Darcy Coates. I've never read anything by Darcy Coates before, but this is an author that I am definitely interested in reading from, and this seems like a perfect opportunity to explore. So I don't have a physical copy of it, but I will be listening to the audiobook. And I'm looking forward to that this month. I have no idea what this is about. I think it has something to, I know it's horror, and I think it's about people locked in some kind of a, I don't know if they're in a hotel or a cabin or something, and one of them is a killer. And they keep taking people out, and you don't know who to trust. That's really all I know. And that's really all I need. But I'm looking forward to it. Now I have books that I've picked out based on the challenges that I didn't get to this year. So I really want to read Artemis by Andy Weir because I've read other Andy Weir that I loved, and I haven't read this one yet. And this was in my heists challenge. I think this is a heist on the moon. This is very different from his other two books with The Martian and Project Hail Mary. They're very much isolated, like one person, and we don't have a cast of characters, whereas I think this does have more people in it, like more of a group dynamic situation happening. I really don't know too much else though, but my son read this and has been very grumpy with me that I haven't gotten to it yet. So I'm going to make that happen in December. It's been bugging me for months that I have not yet read When the Angels Left the Old Country by Sasha Lamb. This book is so bright. It just stares at me on my bookshelf like screaming at me. So this is a book that is similar to Good Omens in concept, where you have an angel and a demon working together, but these are from like Jewish mythology, and this is set in in the early 1900s, I think, or the late 1800s, with them like immigrating to America from the old country. So like it just sounds like something I'm going to love. So I really want to try to make this happen this month. I don't know. I have such high hopes for this. Like, I think that might be why I haven't picked it up yet, because like I'm so worried that I'm not going to love it, but I think I'm going to love it. On my Books About Books challenge, I have this book that I've just been wanting to read for a really long time, and that's my favorite thing is Monsters. And this is by Emile Ferris. I actually don't really know too much about this beyond that this is like a graphic novel set up like a journal. It's set, I think, in the 1960s. I've heard so many people rave about this, and I bought it because I thought I would love it. And I haven't gotten to it. It is a big book, but it's because it's a graphic novel, I feel like it's probably going to read pretty quickly. So I'm hoping to make this happen. I've actually already started this next book, but I don't think I'm going to finish it this month. I'll definitely be reading it in December, and that is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I was waiting to get the audio. I was on a hold on Libby, and I thought I wouldn't get this till like the end of December, but it came in really early. So I was like, oh, I guess we're starting now. So I've been wanting to read this for months, and it was on my thrillers list, and I didn't get to it in September when I was reading thrillers. So I'm definitely going to make this happen now. I mean, I am already making this happen now. This is a gothic thriller about a woman who is a caretaker for this woman who is like almost mythical in that she's kind of a Lizzie Borden type character where her whole family was massacred and she's the only one who has survived. She was the only one left, and everyone assumes she did it. And this is about like, well, did she do it? We're going to find out over the course of the book, like what's really going on here. There's a mystery happening with the caretaker that I think we're going to unravel throughout the story. So it's set in the 80s. It has great atmosphere. I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm hoping that I actually do like this one. I haven't read a Riley Sager in a while, and the only one I have read was Just Fine. So I'm hoping that this will be the one that makes me a Riley Sager fan. Then for popular historical fiction, I really wanted to get to this and it didn't happen, so I'm making it happen. I'm going to read West with Giraffes, and this is by Linda Rutledge. This is another one I've heard so many good things about. And one of the reasons that I kind of want to make this happen is that it's supposed to be like a feel-good story, which honestly, December can be hard, so I wanted something that was going to be like kind of cozy reading, and I think this might fit the bill for that. I actually don't really know what this is. It's set during the Great Depression, like 1938, and they're literally like traveling with giraffes. They're bringing them from one zoo to another, I think, and that's all I know. But I've heard really good things about this one, so we'll see. I wanted to read some holiday-inspired books. So I'm going to try to read Hog Father by Terry Pratchett. This is Terry Pratchett's like Christmassy Discworld book, I think. And I want to say this is also one of the Death books. And I love Death as a character. So far I've only read Mort, but I really want to read more of those. So this was high on my list of like, I have to read this in December. I don't really know too much else. It just says it's the night before Hog's Watch, and it's too quiet, and I just love this cover. Honestly, I am obsessed with these editions of the Discworld books. They're just like, they're so nice. They're so nice to hold. They're just like the perfect size. They're just I love them. Then on the same idea, holiday inspired, I've had this on my shelf for years and I've never read it, but I really want to. And that's Krampus, The Yule Lord. This is by Brom. I've been wanting to read something by Brom for ages now. I own 2 of his books. This is like huge and floppy. It's got illustrations in it. It's a beautiful book. So it's big, which intimidates me a little bit, but it's a gorgeous book. I really want to make this happen. I love the Krampus movie. That's one of my favorite Christmas time movies to watch. I don't like traditional Christmas movies. I hate like all the rom-com, cutesy, Hallmark. I can't do it. But I love quirky holiday movies, and Krampus is it's up there. One of my favorites. So I'm hoping to read this year. I wanted to read something from Nightworms. I get Nightworms every month, and I wanted to go through what I've got so far that I haven't read yet that I think I really need to read before the end of the year. So I got this one last year, I think, in their December box, and that's Lucky Girl. This is how I became a horror. This is How I Became a Horror Writer, a Krampus story by M. Rickert. This is very short, so I should be able to like fly through this in a day. And like, it's a Krampus story, so it fits into the theme of my December reading. I honestly do not know anything else about this, besides it has to do with somebody who is a struggling writer. And Krampus. I was like, pick one book that you really, really would be sad if you didn't read this year. And so I pulled Lone Women by Victor LaValle. This is the one I've been like really wanting to pick up all year and just hadn't had a chance to yet. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna make this happen. I think this is like set in the American West. We're following a woman with a past. I don't really know anything else about this. I'm trying super hard not to hear anything about this book because I want to go in as blind as possible. So, Victor LaValle is an author I've been wanting to read. Then for winter vibes, I was gonna try to make this happen. The Children's Blizzard by Melanie Benjamin. This has been recommended to me a few different times as a book that I'm gonna love. So I've had this for like 2 years and I need to make it happen. So I'm gonna read this. This just feels like a December book to me. This is a historical fiction about children and their teachers being stuck in a blizzard. They're stuck at school in the little schoolhouse and they need to get the children home safely. But what's better to do? Stay in the schoolroom and hopefully just wait it out, or get through the blizzard and get them home. And I guess the decisions made have reverberations. I don't know too much else besides that, but I've been wanting to read this for a while. Then I have the Between Shades of Grey graphic novel by Ruta Sepetys. I've already read Between Shades of Grey. It's one of my favorite books, and I picked this up a while back, and I haven't read it yet. And I just thought graphic novels are great towards the end of the year when you just like really want to bump your numbers. So I've been wanting to read this for a while, so I'm gonna try to make that happen. I have a couple projects going on. I'm reading coming of age horror this month. I'm not going to talk about all of that because that'll be in another video, but I am going to show you this book because I have a physical copy of it, and that is Disappearance at Devil's Rock by Paul Tremblay. I've just been obsessing over Paul Tremblay's books. I've read 3 of them so far, and they were all 5 stars. So knowing that this is coming of age horror, which is one of my favorite things, I just feel like this is obviously going to be another 5 star. Like, this is going to cement him as like top favorite author status. I have good feelings about it. I don't actually know what this is though, but it's about a missing teenage boy, and his friends and his family trying to figure out what happened. Where did he go? What happened? That's what this is. That's all I know. I'm not going to tell you what this is for, but it's for a project I'm working on for Build Your Library, and I'll leave it at that. This is The Girl with the Lauding Voice by Abi Dare, and I have been wanting to read this for ages anyway. This is a story set in Nigeria, and it's about a girl who is trying to get an education. And that's really all I know here too. But I've heard so many good things about this book. I've had it for a little while now, and I've just really wanted to pick it up. So I've almost just created a project to make me pick up some things that are on my shelves. But this is definitely happening in December. And then really quick, before we wrap, I have created a little like TBR jar situation for Lit Bite potentials. I have a ton of books that I think would make great Lit Bites. Lit Bites are literature units that I write for Build Your Library. They're just based on one book, so not a whole unit study where you're studying lots of different components. This is just one literature unit. And my goal was to put out one a month. Sometimes it's every other month. It depends on what I'm working on in conjunction with that. So I wanted to go ahead and choose my next Lit Bite. And I'm gonna do it this way because should I go with that one because it fell? But I'm gonna try to do it this way so that I can choose things without staring at my shelves for 6 hours. Like I tend to like overthink it. So I'm gonna pull 2 because that gives me options. I always like to have options in case I'm just like, not that. So the first one I pulled is The War That Saved My Life, which actually feels like a December book, if I'm being honest. But let's go ahead and see what my other option is, just in case I like that one better. Ooh. I might have to do both. I pulled The Bitter Side of Sweet. Oh, hold on. I'm going to go grab those. Okay, so for Lit Bite potentials, I don't know if I'm going to get to both of them, but I pulled The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. I've already read this and loved it, and I just feel like this would make a great Lit Bite. And this is a story set in World War II England, and we're following a girl named Ada and her little brother Jamie as they are sent to live in the country. Ada has a club foot and she's crippled, and her mother abuses her and doesn't plan on letting her go. She keeps her locked in the apartment, and Ada decides to change her fate and go with her brother Jamie to live in the country. And they are sent to live with a woman named Susan, who is one of my favorite characters in literature, in children's literature. I just think Susan is such a great character. I love this book so much, and its sequel, The War I Finally Won. They're both amazing. Then, I've had this on my shelf for a while, and I didn't know what I was doing with it, so I decided it should be a Lit Bite. And so that is The Bitter Side of Sweet by Tara Sullivan. This is a story about children who are modern day slaves. I think it's set in Africa. They work on a chocolate factory. Like, they pick the beans and process them into cocoa powder and chocolate and stuff. So I think it has to do with them trying to escape. I'm not exactly sure what this is about. I haven't picked it up yet, but I've been wanting to read it for a while. So this would be middle grade level, like I would say 8 to 12. This one's probably going to be more high school level. I won't know until I read it, but I'm thinking this is probably more like YA. So those are the two books that I don't know if they're both going to happen, but we'll see. I don't know, but I'm putting them in my TBR. So you can look forward to those as Lit Bites. Oh my gosh, this is getting out of hand. You know what? That's enough. I'm not going to pick up all of them. So I've given myself a super ambitious December TBR, but you know, I need to read 15 books, so I'm gonna do my best. So that's what I'm gonna be reading in the month of December. Let me know down below in the comments, what are you excited to read in December? How has your year gone? I'd love to hear about it. My reading year has been like one of my best, I think, in a while. The rest of the year was kind of a mess, but I had a great reading year. I've read a lot of awesome books this year. I've really gotten back into horror, which has just been amazing. I've missed it more than I realized. Yeah, I just feel like I've had like so many 5-star. I don't know how I'm gonna figure out my favorites. That's coming really soon. I'll be filming that in the coming weeks, but I don't know how to narrow it down. I have a lot of favorites. So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.